Welcome back to Document Libraries Part 2. So probably one of the most common things you'll do is once you've got a document library, okay, that's great. You can now store documents and everybody can look at them. But what I want to do over here is just show you a few more things you can do with them. So what we're going to look at is we're going to really hone in on just a few things over here. Number one, how do we edit? So how do we edit documents once they're in there? How can we actually edit documents? So just over here, number one, how to edit documents. Number two, stop the blame game. Let's enable versioning. And number three, how can we make sure that no one can change a document while we're working on it? Let's see all this in action and get an idea what's going on. Okay, so here's the first thing over here. Suppose that we were talking to Jane Doe, and Jane Doe wants to make changes to the document, okay? Now, while Jane Doe wants to make changes to the document, Jane Doe needs to be able to edit the document. So how would she be able to do that? Well, first, she needs to have permissions. Let's assume, though, that, really permissions are somewhat out of the scope of our 2-hour type course because it's only a 2-hour course. But let's come over to Second Document, and let's click on the ECB menu. And look at this. There's an option, two options, edit in browser as edit in Microsoft Word. So Jane Doe can either edit this in the browser or edit it in Microsoft Word. Now this is pretty incredible because you have built-in browser editing. In this case, let's click on edit in browser. For edit in Word, Jane Doe would need to have Microsoft Word on her computer. So we click on this and look at this. Here we are in Internet Explorer, opening up an actual editable interface for the browser, so we can actually edit this. Now watch this. So I come over here and I'm going to go, ha ha, I have edited this document. Okay, you probably wouldn't really put that in a real corporation, but you get the point. I wouldn't. Brandon Ahmad. There we go. I've just edited the document right over there. Now I come in, I click save. I've edited Jane's document. I'm showing Jane how to do it. And there. Now Jane understands that she can edit, just like you guys all do, edit this anytime that she wants to or you want to in a browser with SharePoint. Very, very nice. So browser-based editing, extremely nice function. Let's go a little bit further, though. So we've finished that up over there, and I'm just going to click back on Example Library. And let's suppose that we want to do something else, like maybe do something to where we want to be able to track all edits. So we've all ran into the horrible situation at work where it became a he said she said game to basically see what kind of change was made. What if there was a way that we could prevent all that and be able to see multiple different versions of a document? So for example, if I made a change and then someone else made a change and then someone else made a change, maybe we could see how the document looked when I initially made the first change, or the second person made a change, or whatever else. That's known as versioning. Versioning is the ability to be able to retrieve the document the way it was between various different changes. Thankfully, guys, this is easy functionality within SharePoint. Let's just say that we need to have versioning on because, we've got a team and we're working on things and email just isn't doing it anymore. I made a change. That's just not working as far as on email. We need official versioning where we can actually see what's going on. First thing I do is I click Library, with SharePoint once again being my hero. Then I come down and I click on Library Settings right over here. Then, after I click on Library Settings, I start to look at it and I come down, and there's something called Versioning Settings right over here in the General Settings. Versioning Settings are going to give me the ability now to be able to actually enable this versioning feature. So I click on it. From Versioning Settings, notice over here that there's these options right under here under Document Version History. Everyone see that? And you guys see there's no versioning, create major versions, create major and minor versions. Okay, just so you guys can know as a best practice or whatever else, this is what people typically say. Major versions of documents are like whenever you do something big, such as adding a section to a table of contents. Minor versions are when you do things such as correct grammar and reword things and whatever else. So you'll typically have both. Major are for major changes, minor are for minor changes. So I'm just going to say major over here. So just whenever big changes are made, I want to be able to store that. That's it. Minor changes or whatever else, I don't need to see. major changes are what I want to see whenever something big has been added or whatever else. And then I can even tell it the number of versions. So if I only want 3 or 5, or I want however many by default, I can set that. I'll leave that alone for now though. Then I'm going to come down over here and I can do something else. There's one more option on top of versioning. Require documents to be checked out before they can be edited. Interesting. Checkout, checkout, checkout. Checkout is whenever you actually take a document, you lock it so that nobody else can use it, and essentially only you can work with that document at that point. In this particular case, I'm going to say yes. So what happens over here now is I'm requiring that every single document be checked out, which means that people can only which means that while someone's editing a document, you can't have 2 people editing the same document at the same time. Very, very beneficial. So I've turned on versioning to be able to store each version, and I've turned on checkout. Let me click OK. All right, now that I've turned on versioning and checkout, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to my document library. So I click on example library. Now I'm going to come over here to say, oh, Word document. Click on it, and now what I need to do is I need to check it out. So I'm going to click checkout. Now at this stage, once I click checkout, let me explain what happens. It goes down to my local computer stored somewhere temporarily. So I get a copy stored over there. But what's also happened is, notice right here there's this little green arrow. That's telling me now that no one else can use this document until I choose to actually, until I'm finished doing whatever I need to do, and I choose to check it back in. So now that I've got it checked out, I'm going to click on it, and I'll just say, oh, edit in Microsoft Word. Yep, I'll click OK. I'll let it come up again. Okay, and there we go. There's my document again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something. This is a new add to the document. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. So there's a new add to the document. And then I'm going to take it and notice this option right over here for save it. So save it back into SharePoint. I click save. Now I'm going to come back right over here and I'm going to close the document. And it gives me a warning. Other users cannot see your changes until you check it in. Do you want to check it in now? So I can check in and check out the document. I click yes right over here. And look, it's going to give it a new version so I can put comments. So let me add a comment. I am checking in the version, but I added a new, let's say I added a new sentence here. So wait, pause just for a second. If you're noticing this right now, you're noticing that what we can do is we can actually turn around now and lock down the changes, see who made the changes, and even version the changes, so that way we can always go back and retrieve a document in time. No more needing to go out and argue and track down who did what and who did and when. You've got it right there inside the version. So there you go. Okay, now it's going to ask me, do I want to keep the document checked out after checking in this version? So I can check in a specific version of a document, but keep the document completely checked out. Nope, don't want to do that. Let me click OK. The little green disappears now. I'm going to move this over and click on the ECB menu. And then notice over here that there's something called version history. Let me click on that. Ooh, look at that. Because I turned on major versions only, it goes 1, 2, 3, each and every single one, essentially incrementing by 1. Had I had minor, it would have been going 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. But what I want you guys to see is look at the comments. Look at who it was modified by, me. Look at the actual version number over here. And then you can even see the time. There's no more guessing. There's nothing else like that. No need to go argue and trace and go run down people and figure out who changed what and why and what was essential. No more risk with someone coming in and going out and editing a document before you're done with it, which can cause big problems. Someone deleting a section or something while you're in the midst of working on it. This is encouraging collaboration with the team, and that's what this is about. So you've got all that right over there, and by clicking on any one of these versions, I could go back. So say I wanted to go back to 1.0 and view what it looked like. I could click right over there and just click OK, and I could see what the document looked like in version 1. Very, very, very handy. As you can see, there's version 1 over there, and it even tells me, oh, a newer version is available. Do I want to go back there, or do I want to compare the two versions? Awesome. probably one of the most powerful features. So check out versioning and whatever else. That pretty much explains that. It is something you'll use again and again, and it will cut down on your amount of work for those of you brand new. Thank you very much, Brandon Ahmad. That ends our end user section on Document Library.